This is part 2 of The Body's Compass with Matt Sorensen and today's guest, Zohrab Balian. I just asked Zohrab the meaning of the numbers and how they relate to us in life. So let's get back into it. I think a lot of people would be interested in how the numbers, first of all, where they sort of come from, but how they influence from our name and birthday and other factors like that.
Numbers from the day you are born, numbers are working. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're working for you. And if you are not aware of it, sometimes they challenge you. But because numbers are vibrations and energy. Okay? There are some numbers are soft, some numbers are strong, some numbers are leading, some numbers are following. So it depends where you are in your life. Um, for example, you have 3 9s in your birthday, but you're so gentle and soft. So when I look at you, I see a very soft and gentle spirit, but you have the incredible mind that people call you very easily a genius. And I'm sure they call you genius when you were a young person. Okay. So I don't know what you did with the 3 9s because that is a very deep, very scientific. That means your brain is really up and running, but your emotions are against you. Okay. And then you have the two sitting there. And then you have, when you look at it, the 3 9s have taken most of the corner. And that means you do have a memory, but you have to work on it. So when I'm looking at different charts, then I take a name chart um, and look at the name on a yearly basis. And that will depend, of course, what part of the year you are born and what happened to you. So it is highly important that this translation of the numbers and the letters of your name, because like you look at Matthew is M for 4 years, A for 5 year, 1 year. So when you were 5 years old, your parents either have moved or their situation has improved, or your mom was pregnant again when you were 5, from 4 to 5, or from 5 to 6, and or you change your home, your address, the city, the country, and all that. So, and then you came into the T, 2 T's, TT for 4 years, and then you came the H for 8 years, and then you have the E for 5 years. Now, all these letters definitely are working, but the more you know them, you feel the vibrations are rising. So if I say to you, Matthew, during this E period, 5 years, there will be progress in your life, and you will see the progress happening in your job, the success, and all that. But when W comes, that's 5 years as well. So W is a very different energy levels, which you don't find it in many names, you know. But E is nearly everywhere. So what you do is you look at Matthew, you see how many years, and once the cycle is over, and you come back. Now, when you come back to M again, that's 4 years, then this time you are grown up. And you've got to look where you are in your life and how these letters are affecting you because now you're working, you're earning money, you know, you're in a relationship. Your thinking is different than what it was 5 years, 10 years, 20 years ago. You're a different person. But then when I look at your chart and I say to you certain things, which is very private, for example, it will all depend how you will take that and put it in practice. Okay. So another guy I saw 2 years ago, now he sees me every 6 months. is going through a huge shift. So I explained to him, your direction is number 5 to the rest of your life. He is 58. This year he's 58. And I said, last year, you have 3 directions to go. Your skills in writing books, because he's a lecturer, your skills in life coaching, in academic levels. And I said, you mentioned you want to become a psychotherapist counselor. I said, that's fantastic, 3 things. But the main thing you are shown, education and writing books. So make a decision, which one do you want? His life from age 30 has been 5, 5, and 5. Okay? So he can't go wrong.
Mm.
He can't go wrong. But if he doesn't respond to the numbers, and if, let's say, he hasn't seen anyone who can communicate these messages, then
Mm.
how the hell he would know? He will struggle in life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like
Okay?
a
So, yeah. So
guiding
he will
guiding
struggle and
star.
not,
Yeah.
not know.
It's almost like a compass bearing.
Yes.
Mm. And I think, yeah, that's very interesting. You've taught me a lot already. And I think as humans, we are hardwired into, well, first of all, seeking safety, security, survival, um, both ourselves and living relationships. And if you don't have that, or if you just feel lost in general, it can create a lot of stress. So why do you think humans are so desperate to find meaning and patterns in that?
Usually that answer is very easy, but very deep. To have a relationship, one must have a relationship with him or herself. The moment you accept who you are, your relationship towards yourself, you accept that you're a beautiful person and you have the courage to look in your own mirror
Mm.
and say, I am everything that God has created. When you are able to do that, all the other relationships will be easy to manage because everything is management, okay? So, because you think like that, the person who will come and look at you and say, well, he knows what he wants. I can't, uh, uh, I can't dominate him because he knows what he wants, because she knows what she wants. In a sense, if you are living with someone who has no qualms at all about life, as his or her, whatever it is, but understands and accept that in this life, in this present life, she or he is what it is. And because if you couldn't accept this, then you have a major issue to deal with.
Mm.
Because first of all, I want to fall in love with myself without telling anybody. I want to fall in love with myself and love myself. For example, I look at myself, I'm 77, old, you know, now I look at myself and I say, well, you're not a bad looking guy, okay, without fear. But I am able to look at the mirror and say, I love this guy. Thank you. And then everything is easy because one is that you actually don't care. But then if you do care, then you care because you want to manage the other relationship, which is the other person. That also comes to children. This client today brought tears into my eyes when he said, I didn't know that my children loved me, adored me, and they say, Dad, you are nearly getting 60 and you're going into therapy. It's unheard.
Mm.
You're a great man. The children are saying that to their dad. I've seen the children as clients too, and the wife as well. But the father is continuing to come every second Sunday. And today, I actually allocated 1 hour extra because I love the conversation
Mm.
without overcharging. Okay. So I said, you've got to learn that what other people have, it's nothing to do with you.
Mm.
Okay. What you don't have, it doesn't mean you don't have it, but you never thought about it that you want to have. Okay. Now I said, you bring tears into my eyes because you're sharing your experiences with me. And how wonderful is that? You have 3 children. They adore you. You don't have money. I know. But look, your children don't care about money,
Mm.
but they love you. And I know other children who hate their parents and they have a lot of money. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you talk, talking about stress, I don't know whether I talked about the question itself. Well, there's so much literature about meaning and purpose. Now, these two are important, but I feel they both are important, but I feel the meaning of your own life has a lot to do with what you do in life. But many people don't know what the meaning of their life
Mm.
is. And I say, don't overtry it. Don't overtry it. So to connect that question to my last client today, I said, Look at you. You've done so much. You didn't die. You got married, 3 beautiful children. They adore you. Do you think you're not successful?
Mm.
Of course you are successful. Do you think you don't have stress? Stress is good as long as it's not over stress.
Mm.
But we need the stress to get out and do things, you know? So have I answered it correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. You were saying that I think a lot of people feel lost in. I know a lot of people, a lot of patients that come in, they kind of feel overwhelmed by the what's the meaning of life thing. And I just say the meaning of life is to live. You give meaning to life and celebrate the things. You know, if you hit a target, be it in the gym or at work, or you had a new conversation, celebrate it. That's how you give meaning to life. Life isn't, you know, everyone thinks that life and death are opposites, but it's really birth and death are the opposites. Life just is, but we have to give the meaning to the is part. And I think a lot of people just get caught up in other people's stuff, and then
Yeah.
they don't know who they
Um,
are in that, and they just identify as that, and they become that.
yeah. Viktor Frankl, I don't know if you've heard of him, talks about um, searching for a meaning, searching for a meaning. When I read that book, his book, years ago, I actually it affected me because I realized one thing because he was in during the Second World War, he experienced things that, it was very hard, very difficult. but he didn't lose the meaning of life. So searching for a life or searching for a meaning, it made me to realize that I also didn't die. My experiences were I saw two civil wars. I was a young boy trying to make money in the first civil war. In the second civil war, I actually nearly was shot. But in the first one, I could have been killed any time. It was a dangerous life. So when I think about it, that I came this far, I actually doing not bad.
Mm.
And the meaning, as you said, the meaning is that we're actually alive. You've got to look, talking about health, you've got to look at your health. And if I may say a few things about health, health is something so precious. Mental health, physical health, any health, because you've got to look after yourself and feel good about yourself, you know. Um, and then have, as you know, in your late 30s or 40 to 45, a lot of things happen, and you can come up with lots of questions, but it will all depends on your maturity
Mm.
and understanding of certain things, not everything, and then ask the question, what is this all about? Which way do I want to go? And then you really have to spend some time on yourself, on your own. And you don't have to go to the mountains. Okay. What you have to do is find someone who can talk to you, or you can talk to him or her, and find this connection and do some work. And then you will find it easy to connect. I can give you a good example since you talked about Mandy Hall. Um, I've got few books of him. Um, if you have heard of Think and Grow Rich,
Mhm.
Napoleon Hill, have you heard of it?
Mhm.
Have you read it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So in that book, I've been reading it for 45 years. Every year I read the book, but only a few years ago, he says there is a secret in the book, but you've got to find it yourself. Okay.
Mm.
And I keep reading it and keep reading it and keep reading it. And of course, it's brought lots of realizations that I'm a capable person. It did, but I didn't become wealthy. I actually lost money.
Mm.
Okay. So finally, I think it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 4 years ago, I took the book with me overseas and I started reading, like some coffee shops and places like that, and taking some notes again because I practiced that book with clients. The clients would say to me, when I tell them about the book, when I said it's 17 chapters, but we can cut it down to 10 sessions. If you want to come, I'll buy you the book. Okay. And now there are quite a few. In that book, I finally found secret for myself that I was a man of principles.
Mm.
Okay. It wasn't anything to do with wealth,
Mm.
but my wealth was that I'm a man of principles. If I say
Mm.
something, I'll do it. If I say
Mm.
no, I won't do it. If I say yes, I will do it. That suddenly it raised me to a point where I remembered when I was 16, that's what my father said to me. In life, there is nothing but your own principles.
Mm.
You lose those, you are nobody. Okay. And now, like years later, you come to understand the being a person of a man of principles or a woman of principles, and then have your relationships or choose your life according to what do you think, you know? As you know, in psychotherapy or in existential psychotherapy, there's always talk about choices, 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 choices. And Jean-Paul Sartre explained that in your life, you came to a life where you have to choose. Once you are grown up over the age of 10, you have to be able to choose what you want to do. Now, if you choose not carefully, you have to have the guts to stand up and say, hey, I made a mistake. I'm going to change it. Okay. Now, if you actually felt that you can't because you're going to hurt somebody else's feeling, then you are in big trouble.
Mm.
Okay. So that's when you want to make sure that the other person or other people understand you're a man of your words and you're not shy away from it. Okay. That's my idea that I got from that book. And and every time I actually go through, see or read some books, I see, I tell myself, this book is written about me. I see myself in that book as character. So then I slowly give a little meaning to my life. You know, how are we
I think we
going?
got I think we got the same meaning out of the same book, the same secret.
Yeah.
Zohrab, there are many layers to compatibility, not just physical, but also mental, feeling the same about one another. Spiritually could mean they share the same or similar beliefs. And they can form a deep resonance with each other. What makes two
Yep.
people psychologically compatible?
Very, very, again, very interesting question. Compatibility is, I think, a lot to do with maturity. Compatibility is, like I've seen people married for 50 years, and I ask the question, what, how come you manage all these years? And they say, well, whenever a woman is saying something, just say yes. But that's not the answer. That's not the answer. Mm. I believe, I believe very strongly, actually. Mm. I believe very strongly that you can be connected with someone with the first part, as in spiritually and emotionally, you can. But in psychological terms, my understanding is that this is very interesting because you don't have a straight answer. But what you have is, people say, for example, would numerology show you compatibility? And I said, yes, of course it does. The 369s complementing 369s, or number one, 2468 will complement, 9 will give you 369 again.
Mm.
The compatibility is there. But how about we talk about when were you born? Who were your parents? What was the context of the conversations around you? What were the conversations around you when you were growing up? What do you know about your life? What do you know about where you are today? What are you thinking of doing in your life? I mean, How much time do you spend to think about your life? So when we talk about connections, you look at someone and the moment they open their mouth, you either fall in love or say, okay, thank you very
Mm.
much and goodbye. The same thing with, by the way, not just male, female. You can be having friends, male. I do have many male friends, but I don't talk. I don't have this kind of conversation because I respect their not knowing. I don't want to share something with someone who doesn't know anything and who doesn't want to learn.
Mm.
That's bad for me. It's not good at all. So, I've seen many couples, and I come to, and I look at their numbers without sharing it with them, and I see the compatibilities or no compatibilities. What I see is life directions.
Mm.
One is going this way, the other one is going that way to the right, but they don't know.
Mm.
They blame each other,
Mm.
and these people have connected emotionally 10, 15 years ago, and suddenly they stop because one is wanting something else and then the other is wanting else, but they don't know
Mm.
until the question comes, like that woman I'm saying. I said to her, I've got a feeling something is happening to you that your life is going to change, but not the divorce.
Mm.
And she said, what can I do? What can I learn? I said, because when was the last time you thought about yourself in your 37-year life? When was the last time you spent 20 minutes or 10 minutes saying, oh, I'm 37 or 36? Where am I? What station in life I am in? When was it? And she said, do you need to ask these questions? I said, of course, because if you
Mm.
didn't,
Mm.
then this will happen. Somebody else is doing something, you're not liking it, and you're blaming the other person. Whatever I'm not saying they're doing the right thing, but I'm saying that they're doing things to upset you. And then when you're upset, what are you going to do? Do you feel, have you asked the question, what are you going to do? She couldn't say anything. Okay. So psychologically, when I went to study counseling psychotherapy, I failed in my first assessment. And the teacher was happy enough to tell me to get rid of me, that you don't have a psychological mind. And I said, what is a psychological mind? I didn't know. And I am in my early 50s. What is a psychological mind? Well, later years, I understand that it's how you're thinking. It's how you look at this. It's how you appreciate things. It's how you understand things on a humanly basis, very deeply or superficially, whatever you want to go about. It depends on your personality, of course. And years later, I said, okay, then what I've learned from that is, Matthew, that I am able psychologically to look at someone and accept them the way they are.
Mm.
And the next question comes is, but do I want to live with them? So you have to make a decision.
Mm.
Yes, you can accept who they are. There are many aspects of their personality, their individuality, their who they are, the way they talk to you, the way they. But then you say, of course, no 100%. No one is 100%. Then there are some things that you're not happy with. But then again, it comes to your own understanding of psychology or psychological thinking. that I see all the qualities here. And am I going to be, you know, happy to live with this person? Because the last thing you want to do is change that person in the future, because you don't want to do that. You don't want somebody else come in and say, "Oh, you need these changes to be done to you," because you don't want to. Then you start having a conflict
Mm.
or blessings.
All comes down to perception. So it's really the commitment to growth with each other. And I find a lot of women in particular want to grow more than men. And if they go to a certain level above the man, let's say psychologically speaking, they find it hard to relate. And if she goes probably 2 levels above, it's almost they can't. It's
That's
too
right.
different.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, on the subject of
Especially,
sorry,
sorry, you go. You go, you go.
I was just going to say on the subject of healing, it's a big topic and so many different layers. For you, I'd love to know whether healing is becoming someone new or remembering who you are.
I like the question, but before I answer that, I will answer about what you said, which is very true. When in a couple, when women are doing more to learn and to explore and to do the things that they want to do, and they feel the changes in them.
Mm,
But most of the time, I find it's not a constructive change, because if you are changing, you should be able to accept your partner the way he is. Don't try to change him, because you're not going to like it anyway, but he's not going to like it as well. If a man wants to change, they will come together for a couples therapy. Okay. But I'm talking now about, when I say couples therapy, it's not just structured couples therapy. I'm saying something very revolutionary, like saying to them, let's have a conversation, whichever way it goes. Because I'm not here to tell you how to live with each other. But let's have a conversation. Where do you want to take this marriage? Or is this a marriage that it's really worth fighting for? Okay. And when that happens, you get your answer. Even in the numerology, it says the life of this couple will be very hard, but then, of course, there is a
mm,
constructive way of achieving it. Now, we know the subject of healing is a big topic again, so many different layers. For you, I would love to know whether healing is about becoming someone new or remembering who you are. In the past, I helped health issues, people who have health issues, women for that matter. I'm helping a guy now who has health issues. I am trying to, without speaking against doctors, which that is not my business, but I am helping them to open up to new research is taking place, has been taking place, it's taking place, and how you can learn, relearn how to eat, how to learn, how to live, and all that. Hmm. Now, many, many years ago, I had a massage client. She has scoliosis. Okay. Now, she had a very strong body. But she was always ill. She was always sick. Mm. One of the things that I observed, I used to see her 3 times a week, spend 20 minutes working on the scoliosis. Okay. And she would feel comfort, and then I'll see her again. And she was 26 years old at that time. And she said to me one day that she has cancer in the cervix. Okay. I said, what are you planning to do? She said, I'm going to St. Vincent's Hospital, and I want you to come and do the same work for me as well and talk to me. I said, okay. So she was 26. I went to the hospital one day and she said, tell me something. Am I going to die? I said, I can't answer that, but there is something I want to ask you. What do you want to do if there is a second chance? What do you think you want to do when you have the opportunity to live a long life? This is what she said to me. She said, with the rest of my life, she said, as long as I can walk and my health permits, I'm going to deliver food for the people who can't go out there and buy their food. Seniors, sick people, whatever. This year, she is going to be 66.
Mm. Wow.
Okay. She lived other issues as well because she had kidney issues. She had, cervix, said the cervix were okay. Then, anyway, that's what she still does.
Wow.
She goes and helps the community. She kept her promise. My other client who had cancer in the back, first in the breast and then in the back, and I said the same thing, and I shared the experience with her, and I said, "This is what I like to ask you." Because she was crying. You know how why me and why me? I said, "It's not about why me. You have been emotional all your life. Something must give in.
Mm.
But am I going to leave? I have 3 children." I said, "Of course you're going to leave. Why? Why would you die? Do you have any reason to die?" And she said, "I don't know. The doctors are saying 70%, 60%, 50%." I said, "Don't believe that. Sorry. What do you believe? Do you think you want to leave?" She said, "Of course I want to." I said, "Okay, have an open mind." I gave her a couple of sayings, affirmations, and I said, "Look at yourself. How gorgeous, beautiful you are. And you're not going to die anyway. It's 5 years now."
Mm.
And she's living her life. The point I'm making is to answer your question about who are you becoming when you are healing? Are you becoming an angry person that you're experiencing this experience? Another friend of mine who is still going through all the medical stuff, and he said to me a few months ago, he said, "I should have listened to you. I should have listened that there are a lot of good things happening in the field that I am suffering." I said, "It's never too late. It's never too late." I made a list of books that he can read. And then I said, "Whenever you're ready, just let me know. I'll find the person for you to go." And I said, I don't want to be close to you because we're friends, and I
Mm.
don't want to do that, but I will guide you to the right place." He said, "Look at me. I was a man, now I am not a man." So I dare to ask the question, to make a point about this question. I said, "How do you feel? Do you think something changed for you?" Okay? Because whoever you are, I said, but he said, "You know me?" I said, "I'm not talking about whoever you are. Maybe you need to find who you are." And that's what we do. When we have difficulties, most of the time, it's not easy to be ourselves. It is about, it is about actually what you promised God before even you arrived here, remembering who you are,
Mm.
because we forget.
I think we kind of were born to forget as well. So I think a large part of the journey is remembering who you are. And sometimes we need to take a few bumps and bruises, or a few encounters with the lions and tigers of bears of life to help that be used as a catalyst to take us into the direction of who we are and what we're here for. And I think this has been a really potent discussion, and I hope everyone's getting a lot out of this, because I think there's a lot of wisdom and experience, and obviously there'll be technical knowledge as well, but I'm sure the listeners can feel the wisdom behind the words. And if you would want listeners to take away one thing from this conversation, what would it be?
What I like to ask your audience, I would like to ask everyone. We are going through a very important time. This is a time of evolution, big evolution, and we are being taken for a ride as humanity. I want to say, and I want to ask your audience and everyone who sees this tape, that simple things in life will save you from a lot of difficulties. Simple things, as in asking questions. As I said before, a life without asking questions is not worth living. Now, that message was given to us 3,000 years ago by Socrates. An unexamined life is not worth living. There is meaning to that I practice, and I want to teach this to people, that you need to stop and ask the question: where am I? Who am I? What do I want to do? How I do want to live? And our lives are like good books, like good books. And the other thing I want to ask is, I remember what people told me when I was very, very young. I love being with all elderly people. So when I was 10, I was with people 50, 60 years old. And they always surprised that I can sit there and listen to them. But I want to pass on what Einstein said to us: whatever happens to you, do not lose your curiosity. Be curious, because by being curious about things, not only you will learn things, but who knows? It might guide you to a new venture, a new opportunity, new things that you never thought about. You know, as a friend of mine put it to me, and I practice now, that is that when you read a book, a good book, that is, it's like you are experiencing the experiences of the writer.
Mm.
So you don't have to experience everything, but you are experiencing what other people have experienced. So for a lousy $20 or $30 or whatever the price is, you're learning an immense amount of experiences. And you should take that into your memory, because you've got to remember. Because if you didn't remember, it means nothing. That's what I like to say, to your audience. And this conversation, and thank you, Matthew. Thank you very much for creating this situation for me. Um, Creating this situation for me to actually talk freely about the things that I really love. I'm sure that you are in the same group of minds that are there to help people as much as possible. We can't help everybody, you know. Um, so podcast now, I realize this is my first experience. I've done quite a few Zooms and all that, but it's all to do with my work, work at the school. Um, and And in my practice, well, there you go. It's so important. Do we have time?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, feel free to share any final comments and where people
I
can
want to
find
share
you
this
and your.
experience. Yeah, I want to share this experience. How we are sometimes we the people come to me for something and then we end up doing something else. Okay, so they come to numerology, they end up coming for counseling. They come to counseling, and something else happens, and I inform them other things. So I was doing this session with a guy I met in Sydney, but he resides in America, in Los Angeles. I've done quite a few readings with him, and I took him from a very difficult period into now to this year. He's 46 this year. And I told him, I said, until you are 46, these are the challenges you're going to face. Please be conscious of this. Just go along with it until the time comes. So that was about 10 years ago. This year, however, he sent me all the details of his children and his wife. So everybody was there. And I did a reading to the wife as well as to their husband. Now, when I was doing a session with him, I looked at him and something was telling me that his health wasn't the best. And then for some reason, he went to the toilet and I watched his body from the front and from the back. And I asked this question. I said, I know you told me about your dad. I'm sorry if I missed it. I know he died younger than, he could have lived. He said, yeah, he had a heart attack. And thank you for remembering, Zohrab. And I said, it has always been in my thoughts. Since we're talking about it, how's your health? He said, yeah, I do a blood test this week. I said, can I share something? And I don't want you to get upset with me. You should really, really indulge yourself into health, good health. Find someone who can advise you. I can help you, but you've got to practice. Change your food intake, tell your wife. And I think you really have to lose quite a few kilos. Okay. So you don't experience what your father experienced. And you have 3 young children. It's not fair that you love eating, you love your whiskey, and you love all of the stuff. But I think somebody has to tell you to your face.
Mm.
He says, Zora, thank you. Thank you for really telling me this. I said, next time I see you, you're down 10 kilos at least. Okay. So we're helping as much as possible, but we also want people who want, like you said, we want them to do the work with us,
Mm.
not coming and, as I said, uh, just for a laugh. I was helping this lady, uh, I don't know, 20 years ago maybe. And she said, I was trying to say to her, you got this ability, this ability, this ability. I think you can do this and that. You know what? She just turned around and she said to me, I am not interested in any of these things. How can I win the lotto? Okay.
Mm.
I said, okay, since you paid, you're going to pay me. Let me do something for you. So I structured some numbers and I said, play this. Won't cost you more than $10. Okay. She went. A couple of weeks later, she rings me. She picked up the second prize in Powerball in a couple of weeks' time. And she said to me on the phone, if I won the second prize, why couldn't I win the first prize? I said, your time hasn't come yet. Everything has time, and you've got to learn the art of waiting. Nobody talks about the art of conversation, the art of listening. There is also the art of waiting.
I was just going to ask, where can people find you if they want to reach out and get in touch?
Yep. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I am available all days. If it's between Monday and Thursday, I see one person at 6 o'clock, Monday to Thursday, every day, 6 o'clock. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I am available all day. I think my style is people then ring me or send me an email, zohrab41@hotmail.com. I always answer the emails.
Yeah, I just want someone to, if they're listening to this in somewhere in the world and they wouldn't have heard you for the first time today, they've just got some kind of contact potential with you. That's all.
Email is good.
So yeah, I'm really just grateful for you as a human and just that we got to hang out on a Sunday afternoon together and just dance with ideas. And
that's all really it takes. You have one idea, you can change the world. But before you change the world, of course, we need to change ourselves. And as I said, to be able to look in the mirror and say, not bad, you're doing okay, and accept that.
Yeah, if we could just let ourselves off the hook just a little bit and, realize that it took a whole universe to create us. So just marvel in the magic and the beyond human comprehension of just that alone. We'll find most of our troubles aren't really that big that we've made them out to be. Zohrab, I thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for, as I said, creating this environment and the idea, and I'm really thankful for it. Really thankful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for part 2 of The Body's Compass with Matt Sorensen. A big thanks to Zohrab Balian for sharing his story. If you're interested in reaching out to Zohrab, you can email him directly, zohrab41@hotmail.com. This conversation moved you. Share it. If it helped you, come back. Until next time.